Welcome, listener, to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We're glad you could join us.
Yeah, great to be diving into some breaking Springboks news today.
Absolutely. We're looking at a specific piece of news, a significant player call-up that's making waves.
That's right. We're using an article from Planet Rugby as our guide here. It focuses squarely on Evan Roos joining the squad.
And our mission for you today is pretty straightforward. Break down this news about Roos, figure out why now based on what the article tells us, and see what it might mean for the Boks with some big games coming up.
Basically helping you get the key details fast. It's all about understanding this specific development clearly.
Exactly. And speaking of staying clear on things, why not hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession right now? That way you won't miss any of these deep dives.
Good call. Okay, so let's get into the core news from the Planet Rugby piece.
Right. The headline is, Stormers number 8, Evan Roos, he's 25, has been called into the Springboks' wider 55-man squad.
And this is big for him personally, isn't it, considering his recent past?
It really is. The article points out his last cap was quite a way back now, 2024, against Portugal in Bloemfontein.
And it specifically mentions why he's been out. A nasty shoulder injury, apparently quite severe, that kept him off the field for months.
Yeah, a long road back from something like that. But the good news, according to this source, is he's back in the frame.
It says he arrived in Joburg on Sunday afternoon. That's June 8th, 2025.
And the plan is for him to jump straight into pre-series training on Monday. So, sounds like he's fit and ready to go.
Which is interesting timing. And the article gives us some context on player arrivals generally.
Right. It mentions not everyone is turning up at the same time. It's sort of a staggered arrival.
Exactly. And the reason given is pretty simple. Club commitments. Lots of guys still had big games to play.
Makes sense. The timing is always tricky with club finals and international windows overlapping.
The article gives specific examples, too. You had players from the Bulls and Leinster slugging it out in the URC Grand Final on Saturday, June 8th.
Right. Huge game.
And at the same time, over in England, you had the Premiership Final with players from Bath and Leicester involved.
So, guys playing in massive finals one day, then needing to switch focus to the Springboks camp almost immediately, that's quite the turnaround.
It really highlights the juggle, doesn't it? And also, the level these players are operating at just before joining the national team.
Definitely. And it shows why you need that larger squad, especially looking at the upcoming schedule the article lays out.
Yeah, the Boks have a busy start to their season.
First up, the piece mentions is that Barbarians match in Cape Town, Saturday, June 28th.
And it adds that little historical note. First time ever the Boks have played the Babas on South African soil.
Kind of cool. Then what?
Then it's into the Castle Lager incoming series. First up is Italy, back-to-back tests.
Okay, where are those?
Friday, July 5th in Pretoria, and then the following Friday, July 12th, down in Gqeberha.
Right, 2 against Italy. Then
they round off this block against Georgia in Nelspruit. That's Saturday, July 19th.
So, June 28th, July 5th, 12th, 19th. 4 games pretty quickly.
A packed start.
Yeah.
And this schedule, plus the staggered arrivals, brings us back to Evan Roos. Why him? Why now?
He wasn't in the initial big squad, was he?
No, he wasn't. And the article points strongly towards one reason, something many fans guessed pretty quickly.
Which is, based on the article.
It's just Roos's call-up is likely a direct replacement for Cameron Hanekom, the Bulls player.
Hanekom, the young Bulls number 8, having that fantastic season. What does the article say happened to him?
It says he got injured at the weekend during the Bulls' win over the Sharks in the URC semi.
Okay, how?
Specifically, it mentions he was cleaned out at a ruck by Springboks captain Siya Kolisi.
Oof. A clean-out by Siya Kolisi, that's always going to be forceful. Legal, but forceful.
Exactly. It's part of the game, but injuries can happen in those high-impact moments.
And the article mentions the aftermath.
Yeah, it says he appeared to be in quite some distress and actually had to be taken off the field on a golf cart after treatment.
Not usually a good sign, the golf cart.
No, it often suggests something fairly serious. And the article includes some key comments from the Bulls coach, Jake White, talking to Rugby365.com.
What did White say? This must be crucial for the timing.
Absolutely. White confirmed Hanekom is getting a scan. He also said quite movingly that Hanekom is very upset, which is natural, reminding everyone he's just 21.
Yeah, tough for a young player on the verge.
White also mentioned it looked tough to see with swelling and blood. But the killer line really was him saying they had a look and he won't play next week in the URC final. That I can tell you.
Wow, straight out. So definitely missing a biggest club game of the year.
Definitely. White added that while Hanekom might think he can play, his assessment was clear. He can't travel with such an injury.
Can't travel means no URC final in Dublin and presumably not fit to join the Bok camp straight away either.
Precisely. White expressed hope it's short-term, like Goosen's injury was, rather than long-term. But the immediate impact is clear.
And the article adds that Hanekom hasn't officially been withdrawn from the Bok squad yet.
Not officially removed, no. But it notes his recovery time is the big question mark for his involvement this summer.
Okay, so let's connect the dots here, based purely on this Planet Rugby article. You've got Hanekom injured just days before camp, his coach ruling him out of the URC final and saying he can't travel.
And at the exact same time, Evan Roos, who was previously overlooked, gets the call-up.
It certainly paints a very clear picture, doesn't it? One player's unfortunate injury seems to have opened the door for another.
That's exactly the link the source material allows us to make. It shows how quickly things change in sport. For Roos, it's a massive opportunity after his own long injury battle.
Yeah, him being called suggests the coaches think his shoulder is now fine, right? Ready for the demands.
You'd have to assume so. They need him ready for training, potentially for games, quite soon.
And his inclusion really shores up that back row depth, especially with Hanekom now uncertain. It's such a physical area.
Absolutely. Losing Hanekom, even for a short while, would be a blow. Roos provides another powerful option there.
Yeah.
Managing these injuries and transitions is always a headache for coaches.
Definitely. And hey, if you're finding this breakdown useful, why not give Rugby Obsession a quick subscribe? It really helps us keep doing these deep dives for you.
Please do. Now, the article also briefly mentions a couple of related things just for wider context.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, it references that earlier article from just a few days prior where Roos was explicitly mentioned as being out in the cold, which really underscores how sudden this call-up seems.
Right. Shows it wasn't the initial plan. Reactive, likely due to the Hanekom situation.
Exactly. And it also gives a nod to the URC awards, mentioning Sach Feinberg Mungamazulu winning SA Player of the Season.
Sacha, another exciting young player.
Yeah, beating out other Springboks for that title. It just highlights the talent pool in that competition, the very place Hanekom was starring before his injury.
Good point. Anything else?
Just to mention that the Bulls and Munster dominated the URC Elite XC team selections. Again, it just paints a picture of the high standard and intensity of the club game these guys are coming from.
It all ties together: the club form, the injuries, the national call-ups.
Precisely. So let's just quickly summarize what we've gleaned from this Planet Rugby piece.
Okay. Evan Roos is back in the Springbok setup after a long injury.
Check. His call-up looks very likely linked to Cameron Hanekom's unfortunate injury in the URC semifinal.
An injury that Jake White confirmed rules Hanekom out of the URC final and makes his immediate Bok availability doubtful.
Yep. And all this is happening as the squad gathers, with players arriving at different times just before a busy run of games. Barbarians, Italy twice, then Georgia.
That seems to cover the core points from the article. It gives us a clear view of this specific squad change and the likely reasons behind it. It's good news for Roos, tough luck for Hanekom.
It is. So thinking about everything we've just discussed from this source,
Yeah.
here's something for you, the listener, to maybe ponder.
Okay, let's hear it.
Given the known depth in the Bok row and knowing injuries like Hanekom's can happen anytime, what does Evan Roos really need to show? You know, in training, maybe in that Boss game if he plays, what does he need to do to prove he's not just cover, but truly back and pushing for a permanent spot in Rassie's plans after his own long layoff?
That's a great question. What does he need to show to make that statement? Definitely something to think about. What are your thoughts? Let us know. And please don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession.
Yeah, subscribe and stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to this Rugby Obsession deep dive. We really appreciate you joining us and look forward to having you with us for our next episode.